Martha Washington.
Hello, I'm the first president's wife. My name is Martha Washington. My husband's name is George. We were born in Virginia on February 22nd, 1732. He was 11 years old when his father died. When George and I was a widow with 2 children. He never had children of his own. Some people wanted George to be king of the United States. Washington had just had a war to free America from a king's rule. He wanted no king in America. Many stories told about George that were not true. He did not chop down any tree trees, but he was very honest. We were the first family who never lived in the White House. The nation's first leader died December 14, 1799.
Hey Jerry, did you know that Martha Stein was so poor that George often had to write letters for her? She spelled cat with 2 T's. Next we will talk to Abigail Adams.
My husband's name is John Adams. He was the second president of the United States. We were the first presidential family to live in the White House. My husband taught school for a short time. He was also a farmer and a lawyer. He was born in 1735. His religion was Unitarian. We had 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls. His vice president was Thomas Jefferson. John was president from 1797 to 1801. In 1776, he signed the Declaration of Independence. John was able to read in 7 different languages. He died on July 4th, 1826, at the age of 90.
Thanks, Abigail. Wow, James, John Adams had the longest lifespan of any president, 91 years. Here comes Martha Jefferson.
I'm the wife of Thomas Jefferson. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He was the 3rd president of the United States. He was born in 1743 at Shadwell, Virginia. He went to the College of William and Mary, and we meet Martha Jefferson. Martha Jefferson. He had 6 children. He was author of the Declaration of Independence. Tom was a lawyer and a 2 terms from 1801 to 1809. He introduced ice cream, waffles, and macaroni to the United States. Tom's great collection of books began the Library of Congress. Of all his accomplishments, he chose the following words for his epitaph. He was buried Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence and father of the University of Virginia. He never mentioned being President of the United States. He died on July 4th, 1826 at Monticello, our home in Charlotte, Virginia.
Pet to this one. President Jefferson kept a pet mockingbird in his study at the White House. It rolled on his shoulder half the lawn behind him. He taught the bird to take food from his lips. Okay, James, it's your turn.
My name is James Madison. I was the 4th President of the United States. I was a sick boy when I was little. I studied at home until I was 12 years old. When I was stronger and older, I went to college in Princeton. Later, I studied law. I met and married Dolly Todd, who had a small boy. I was a delegate from Virginia, and I am known as the father of the Constitution. I was also Secretary of State. I died at the age of 85.
Thanks, James. James Madison was the first president to wear long trousers.
Time to talk to Elizabeth Monroe.
My husband's name is James Monroe. He was the 5th president. He was the oldest of 5 children. My husband was born in 1758. He was tutored at home until he was 12, then went to Carson Campbell School and the College of William and Mary. He was there for only 2 months when the Revolutionary War broke out. We had to fight at the age of 20. After the war, he married me, Elizabeth, at the age of 27. We had 2 daughters. My husband was 6 feet, 2 inches tall. His occupations were lawyer, senator, and diplomat. He was elected at the age of 58. He served 2 terms. James died of natural causes at the age of 73 in 1831.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Ready for this one, Jerry? President Monroe was once so upset with his Secretary of the Treasury that he chased him out of the White House with fire tongs. President John Quincy Adams.
I'm John Quincy Adams. I'm going to tell you about myself. I was born on July 11, 1767 in Braintree, Massachusetts. I was a lawyer and a teacher. I was a United States minister to the Netherlands, to Russia, and to Great
Andrew Jackson.
I was the first president to be born in a log cabin. At 13, I fought in the Revolutionary War, but I was captured by the British. My mother obtained my freedom before her death. I also gambled on horse races and cockfights. My nickname was Old Hickory because of my toughness. I had a wife named Rachel. We had one boy that we adopted. I was a Democrat, and my vice president was named John C. Calhoun. I was the first president to take a train ride, and also the first president to pay off the national debt. One of the major issues during my terms was my fight against the Bank of the United States. I died June 8, 1845, at the age of 78 in Nashville, Tennessee.
Thanks, Sandy. Unbelievable. When President Jackson left the White House, he had only $90. Let's meet Mrs. Van Buren.
I'm Hannah Van Buren. My husband's name is Martin Van Buren. He was born on December 5th, 1782. He grew up in Kinderhook, New York. His ancestors were Dutch. He was the 8th president. Martin Van Buren was elected president when he was 54. We had 4 boys. When Martin was young, he was a farmer. Before he became president, he was a lawyer. Martin Van Buren was the first chief executive born under the United States flag. He died of natural causes on July 24th, 1862, in Kinderhook, New York, at the age of 79. I died at the age of 35. was also a Republican. He became 16th President of the United States in 1861 at the age of 52. He died on April 15th, 1865. He was assassinated. The most famous event of his presidency was issuing the Emancipation Proclamation, which gave freedom to some 3 million blacks in the South.
Thanks, Mary.
Did you know that before winning the presidential election of 1860, Lincoln was defeated in 8 elections? Let's say hello to Mrs. Grant.
Ulysses Grant was born in Ohio on April 27, 1822. He was educated in local schools and the U.S. military academy. He belonged to the Methodist Church. He married me, Cecilia Grant, and we had 4 children. He was a soldier in the Army and became General of the Union Army. He was only 46 when he became president. He served 2 terms. During his administration, the 15th Amendment was ratified. This gave Negroes the right to vote. He was the 18th President of the United States and died on July 23, 1885 of throat cancer.
Julia, tell me one thing. How come your husband got queasy at the sight of rare meat, even though he is a great Civil War hero?
I don't know. All I can tell you is that it's true.
Time to talk to Francis Cleveland.
I'm Grover Cleveland's wife, Frances. Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th president. He was born March 18, 1837 in New Jersey. He grew up in upstate New York and became a lawyer. As sheriff of New York Erie County, he exposed many dishonest people. Later, he ran his reform record and was elected mayor of Buffalo and governor of New York State. Truly believes a public office is in public trust. Simple honesty and willingness to say no to politicians and the many enemies for more friends. He swept to victory in 1884, the first Democratic president in 25 years. He stood for old-fashioned honesty.
Thanks, Francis. President William McKinley.
My name is William McKinley. I was born on January 29th in 1843 in Niles, Ohio. My wife's name was Ida Thacker. We had 2 girls. I went to Allegheny College. I'm Scottish, Irish, and English. I was a lawyer, a teacher, a clerk, and a soldier. I'm a Republican. I was also governor of Ohio. I became the 25th President of the United States. The years were 1897 to 1901. I served a little over 1 term. During my first term in office, the Spanish-American War began. Out of the peace settlement, the U.S. got Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines. I love cigars, but wouldn't be photographed with one, because I didn't want to set a bad example for the children of America. I was shot by an assassin in New York, and I I died 8 days later from the wound.
Thanks, Bill. I just Dr. McKinley, the president's wife, suffered from seizures and could pass out an over conversation without falling from her chair. When this happened, the president threw a handkerchief over her face until she came to and continued the conversation. President Theodore Roosevelt.
My name is Teddy Roosevelt. I was born October 27, 1858 in New York City, New York. In early childhood, I could not play because I was sick. When I got well, I liked to tell stories and I liked nature. I had 2 wives, Alice and Edith. I had 6 children. I graduated from Harvard and studied law at Columbia. I was Reformed Dutch. I was a writer, historian, and rancher. I was in an army called Rough Riders. I was a Republican. I became the 26th president in 1901. I was 14 years old at my inauguration. I died because of heart failure. I established the first White House press room after I found 7 reporters cheering up by the gate one day. I could read 3 books in a single evening. Then a friend asked me why I couldn't make my daughter Alice behave. I told him I could run the country or control Alice, but not both. Thanks, Teddy. Roosevelt had once refused to shoot a bear cub while hunting, which inspired a political cartoon. The bear in the cartoon further inspired toy manufacturers, and the result was the teddy bear. Next we'll hear from Helen Taft.
My husband was born September 15, 1857 in Cincinnati, Ohio. He was the first president to open the Major League season by throwing the first spot. He was the 27th president of the United States, and we had 3 children. He didn't want to be president as much as he wanted to be a judge, like his father and grandpa. He attended Cincinnati Law School. He was a Republican and had 1 term as president. He was the largest president ever and weighed over 300 pounds. He once got stuck in the White House bathtub and had to have a bigger one built. He died March 8, 1930 in Washington, D.C. at the age of 72.
Thanks, Helen. Once President Taft got caught picking flowers in front of the Department of Agriculture and was about to be arrested when the watchmen recognized him and let him go. Now we will talk to Edith Wilson.
Hello, my husband's name is Woodrow Wilson. He was born in 1856 in Stanton, Virginia. His religion was Presbyterian. He had private tutors and also went to Princeton University, the University of Virginia Law School, and Johns Hopkins University. His first wife was Ellen, but she died shortly after Woodrow took office. They had 3 girls. Later he married me, Edith.
States to World War I. While he was president, the law was passed in 1920 giving women the right to vote. Woodrow typed his own letters and was the first president with a PhD degree. He became ill and continued to serve as president from his sickbed. He died of natural causes on February 3rd, 1924 in Washington, D.C.
Hey, Edith, I understand your husband couldn't read properly until he was 9.
Yeah, until then he read everything backwards.
Next is Grace Coolidge.
My husband's name is Calvin Coolidge. He was the 30th president of the United States. Calvin was born in Vermont. He was a farm boy when he was little. I married him in 1905. My name is Grace. We had 2 boys. Calvin was president from 1923 to 1929, serving part of Harding's term and 1 term of his own. He did not make very many speeches. He was a Republican. On his first day in the White House, Calvin was so lonely that he called a friend in Boston 5 times. When he was bored, he pressed all the buttons on the White House desk at once and watched with glee as the servants scurried. On January 5th, 1933, Calvin died at the age of 60 from a heart problem.
Thanks, Greg. In effort to save money, Coolidge tried to raise chickens in the White House yard, but they tasted funny. It turns out that the chickens were being raised right over Tay Roosevelt's own mint garden. We would like to introduce Lou Hoover.
I'm Lou Henry Hoover. My husband Herbert Hoover was the 31st President of the United States by age 54. He was born August 10, 1874 in West Branch, Iowa. He served 1 term in his presidency and was a Republican. His vice president was Charles Curtis. Herbert became a mining engineer by the age of 17. He died on October 20th, 1964 in New York City at age 90 because of old age.
Thanks, Lou. The Star Spangled Banner became the official United States national anthem under Herbert Hoover in 1931. Teddy Roosevelt.
I was born in 1882 in Hyde Park, New York. I was the 32nd president. I served the longest presidential term from 1933 to 1945. I was a Democrat. I was not in the military. Theodore Roosevelt was my fifth cousin. I was married to Anna Eleanor and had 5 children, 4 boys and 1 girl. Before I became president, I was a lawyer. I was the first president flying an airplane. My entire presidency, 12 years and 39 days, I could not walk a step without the aid of braces and crutches. I could not walk a I had been paralyzed from the waist down as a result of polio in 1921. I developed a fear of fire and learned to drag myself across the floor for possible escape. I died on April 12, 1945, in Warm Springs, Georgia, where I established a resort for other polio victims who were less affluent.
Thanks, Franklin. When Franklin was 5 years old, his father took him to the White House to visit President Grover Cleveland. Cleveland said to him, "I wish you that you may never be president." President Harry S. Truman. I'm Harry S. Truman. I was the 33rd president of the United States. We have 1 girl, and her name is Margaret. My parents took the middle initial S instead of a middle name.
went to public schools in West Point. Then he married me, named me Doug, and we had 2 sons. Our first son was Ike. He died when he was 5. Our second son was John. Dwight was a Republican. He was also a general of the Army. He became president when he was 62 years old. Ike was the first president to appear on color TV. Ike died of heart attack on March 28, 1969. The Eisenhowers were real TV fans. They liked nothing better than to eat TV dinners on trays and watch westerns.
President John F. Kennedy.
My name is John Fitzgerald Kennedy. I was born in Brookline, Massachusetts. My father's name was Joseph Patrick Kennedy. My mother's name was Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy. I married Jacqueline Lee Bouvier. We had 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl. I was the 35th President of the United States. My Vice President was Lyndon Baines Johnson. I was a Democrat and the first Roman Catholic ever to be elected President. I was a commander of a Navy ship in World War II. I hurt my back and had 1 operation before I died. I was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963, shot by Lee Harvey Oswald. My death was a tragedy for the nation.
Thanks, John. When President Kennedy went to a restaurant or took a cab, someone else with him had to pay. He never carried a cash. President Lyndon Baines Johnson. Howdy.
I'm Lyndon Baines Johnson. I was the 36th President of the United States. I was born and raised in Texas. I went to Texas State Teachers College and attended Georgetown University Law School. I was a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, member of the U.S. Senate, and I was John Kennedy's Vice President. When President Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, I was sworn in as President for Air Force One. As President, I declared a war on poverty and hope for a great society. I only served 1 full term and decided not to run for re-election. I was greatly troubled by the war in Vietnam. I retired to my ranch in Texas with my wife Lady Bird in 1968. I died on January 22nd, 1973, following a heart attack.
Thanks, Lyndon. Lyndon began as a public school teacher in Houston, Texas. President Richard M. Nixon.
astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin made the first walk on the moon in 1969. I was the first president to visit China while in office. I was also the first president to visit all the 50 states. My favorite dish is meatloaf. I resigned to disgrace on August 9, 1974. Since then, I am active writing books and commenting on international relations.
Thanks, Dick.
Richard Nixon entered politics by answering an advertisement in a local California newspaper run by Republicans in the district. President Gerald R. Ford.
My name is Gerald R. Ford. I was born July 14, 1913 in Omaha, Nebraska. My wife's name is Betty Ford. I played football for the University of Michigan. I was a lawyer before I went into the Navy. I fought World War II. I became the 38th President of the United States on August 9th, 1974 at the age of 61. My vice president was Nelson Rockefeller. I was the first vice president now elected by the people to become president. I tried to restore the country's faith in presidency. I was open, honest, and decent. During my presidency, there were few shortages, inflation, and increasing unemployment. I lost the election of 1976 to Jimmy Carter. I was named University of Michigan MVP award for football. The Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions wanted me to play for them. I retired now. I enjoy skiing and playing golf.
Thanks, Jerry. Gerald Ford was able to get by on only 4 hours of sleep a night. Now let's meet Rosalind Carter.
Howdy. My husband's name is Jimmy Carter. He was born October 1st, 1924. Jimmy lived in Georgia and grew up on a farm. He had one brother named Billy and two sisters named Gloria and Ruth. Jimmy was a very good student. After high school, Jimmy went to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. He was elected governor of Georgia. Jimmy married me, Rosemary Smith. We had 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. Jimmy owned a peanut farm. While he was president, American personnel were taken hostage in Iran. They were returned to the United States on his last day of office, 1981.
Thanks, Rosalind. As a young naval officer, Jimmy Carter suffered from seasickness. When he had to stand watch, he carried a bucket along. First Lady Nancy Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. He was born on February 6, 1911 in Illinois. This year, Ronnie turned 77 years old on his birthday. He is the oldest elected president. He is the only president that was divorced. Then he married me. We have 2 children. Ronnie was an actor in Hollywood, California for many years. Then he ran for governor. He was governor for 10 years. Ronnie was shot in an assassination attempt on March 30th, 1981. He is the 40th President of the United States and is still in office.
Thanks, Nancy.
That concludes Meet the Presidents. We hope you have enjoyed our program. We leave you with these few bits of presidential trivia.
Three presidents were left-handed: Garfield, Truman, and Ford. 2 presidents received Nobel Peace Prizes: Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson. No president was an only child. Harvard University was attended by more presidents than any other college. Only 2 presidents lived past their 90th birthdays: John Adams and Herbert Hoover.
Now it's your turn to answer a question. What 4 presidents are not raised in the United States? Please join us as we end our program with God Bless America.
thank you for your nice support. We thank you for your hard work. We hope you like us very much. We try to do our very best. We love you the very best. We hope you don't think we're petty.
Never.
We didn't really like the test, but we tried to do our very best. We hope you like this poem so sweet. We tried to do it nice and neat.